You gonna record the right mic this week, James?
Listen, I'm looking at it right now. It says microphone Razor Siren emote. All right. I'm hitting the button. Razor Siren emote's the one popping up. I feel pretty fucking good about that. I'm gonna go into our old boy Discord, fucking Discord, and lo and behold, microphone Razor Siren emote. Looks like we're rocking and also rolling, you know. So far as I can tell.
I only do both, not one or the other.
Yeah. I mean, really, you got time to rock. You got time to roll.
Hey everybody, welcome to Press X the podcast. It's the podcast from your friends at cogconnected.com on the internet. We talk about video games and stuff, and today I'm your host. I'm Paul. Alongside me, as always, we have the moving live image of James.
Hello.
Calm down.
You know, don't worry. I can't maintain this for like an hour and a half. That's impossible.
Evidence in the form of several dozen episodes would maybe disagree with you.
Okay, so there's peaks and valleys, and a lot of them are peaks. Listen, it's fine. It's fine.
Speaking of peaks, there's that other guy. That's Rhett.
Yeah. Not in moving video, but you do get this picture of my boy Yokozuna to tide you over.
Tell me, what
Perfectly
makes
acceptable.
Yokozuna your boy?
643 pounds. Enough said. I wish. God, that's the lifestyle for me. Just fucking forklift to get me out of the house. You know what I mean? I want to get the wall knocked out and... Well, yeah. Okay.
What's your favorite Yokozuna moment?
Obviously when he beats Hulk Hogan for the championship. Yeah, put him in the dirt, sat on him, wham bam, thank you, man. As he did many others. I mean, really, if it comes down to it, my favorite moment is really his finishing move as a whole. Him jumping 10 feet into the air and sitting on people. I don't know. It was a spectacle. It was a spectacle then. It's a spectacle now. Watch that shit and try to tell me how he did it. Because I swear to God, there were a couple dudes where he must not have liked them and he almost killed them. I swear to you.
Okay.
Yeah. Bad. Anyways, how you doing, Paul?
I'm not bad. And by the way, I really respect your explanation. That I didn't expect that much detail. I did sort of expect to hear about Hulk Hogan, though. You've got a borderline unhealthy obsession with that man.
Well, man, I can't... You asked me, okay? I can't help it that he beat Hogan for the title. Yeah, no. Good. Yeah, good on you. Good to see you. Let's just keep moving.
Let's just keep going.
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan comes up in enough conversations and situations as it is. We don't need to drag this bit out anymore. Video games.
Yes.
I've
Video
heard of them. I've played a few sometimes. How do you all feel about the video games?
Good. Pretty good. One of the things I played this week was not a video game, strictly speaking. And generally speaking, it just wasn't a video game. Yeah. I got sent a copy of an early copy pre-Kickstarter campaign of a game called Dust Biters. And it is, in fact, a card game. The kind that, you know, physical thing with the cards. Then you lay them down on the table. And it's just a 2-player thing where you and a buddy go head-to-head trying to destroy each other's post-apocalyptic car convoys before the dust storm does that to both of you. The matches move crazy fast. There's a ton of strategy. The art is really good. The rules are really easy to pick up. It's excellent. It's excellent. I think the Kickstarter went live Monday, and I highly recommend people check that out because I don't know if there's a lot of 2-player tabletop games. In fact, I think this might be the one. I mean, there might be others, but if there are, I haven't heard of them, which is not the bold declarative statement I thought it was going to be in my head before I said it out loud. But fuck it, we're here now. We're here in the world where I said that thing to you all. So yeah, it rules. Anyways, the game Death Spiders is awesome.
Nice.
It does have fun.
I have been trying since you said that to think of any 2-player tabletop games, and I can't do it.
I mean, there's ones that you can play 2 players.
Yeah, but you
this
shouldn't.
one is specifically designed for that. Like, it's only 2.
Yeah.
There's only 21 cards in the whole deck, and like fucking 16 of them are in play immediately.
Wow.
Like 8 laid out on the table, and then 4 in the hands of each player. And so, like, you've basically got the whole deck, like, in play almost, like, right from the beginning. So the matches are crazy fast.
Well, nice. I'm not much of a tabletop guy, but if you like cards, hey.
Yeah. The video game connection, because there is one, is that the 3 people who made it have worked on games that Devolver Digital published. Robbie Fraser, one of the 3, is involved in the company Free Lives, who is publishing Terra Nil, or developing Terra Nil rather, coming out at some point. And then the other 2 were like 2 of the 4 people that worked on Disc Room, and I don't remember the names because I just don't. I don't know. They're. I just don't. I'm sorry. I had one. I had space in my head for one, and then the other 2 are just not there.
It was a good effort.
Yeah, but anyways, if you like Disc Room, and if you liked Terra Nil or Genital Jousting or Broforce,
okay,
you know, then that's the peeps, kind of a little bit, that worked on this game.
Wow.
Yeah.
Quick disclaimer: this is like a Kickstarter that has not been funded yet, correct?
No. Although I only checked it the very day it launched.
Oh, okay.
So, to be fair, which was 2 days ago, so probably not yet.
Okay.
But based on the fact that they've got copies out to people, I think it's more like for distribution, to recoup the development cost, to like expand manufacturing. I actually don't know what the Kickstarter says because it was not live until after my article went up.
Huh, all right.
So it did not exist during the research phase.
I guess what I'm getting at is it's Kickstarter, so buyer beware. You're not actually buying a product. You are giving money to someone, and there's an entirely real possibility that you will get nothing for your money. Not saying that's the case in this situation. I'm sure the Dustbiters folks are wonderful, wonderful people who will send you cards, but you might not get cards, and you got to be prepared for that. The expected fulfillment date for the campaign is November of this year. So, seeing as it's August, I think probably, just so long as they meet whatever meager goal, and it was pretty meager, I think. I don't think they were asking for a lot of money. If they meet that goal, then you're good, and like stuff will probably ship out on time. Generally, in my experience, it's only when people are like, oh, let's hit like 5,000 stretch goals and then turn this into a completely different project, or turn it into something the size of 2 projects, that like people get disappointed or angry or confused, or fourth emotion. Yeah. Fourth emotion is unnaturally excited. Case in point, Star Citizen, where people just keep giving money to that despite zero evidence that it will ever be anything.
Fucking nonsense. Bunch of nonsense.
Well, no, it's an alpha right now.
Come on.
Which has been for 7 years.
Component is an alpha?
Yeah.
Haven't they said that there's like 9 different pieces to this thing, and they've shown ship models.
Yeah. Listen,
Yeah.
we're not gonna get into Star Citizen here because that is a dumpster fire, something like a decade in the making. If you want to learn more about Star Citizen, set aside several hours of your life to do some research and reading, and prepare at the very end of that journey to be a little sad and kind of angry.
Generally confused.
Yeah. Also, here's a fun thing. Since Star Citizen was announced, other games that do what they promised but better and it's done and you can buy them are out right now. Like, Elite Dangerous has come out since they first started promising Star Citizen. Even fucking No Man's Sky has gotten to a point of, like, all of its promises kept and made since in the time that, like, Star Citizen's development started. Like, we heard about No Man's Sky after Star Citizen. No Man's Sky came out, fucked up, fixed their mistakes, became a completely new and different and cool game, all in the time that first game is still in, like, pre-alpha. So, you know, it's out there. Games like that are out there if you want them in your life. It's not complicated. You can do it.
I think my favorite thing about Elite Dangerous, which you just mentioned, is the ability to just kind of fly around and do nothing.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, that's a very relaxing thing to do. You know?
Yeah.
Turn the camera to the side and push some buttons on your ship that you're not really confident you know what they do. And you do it anyway.
It just makes for a great visual, you know? You're like listening to a little like space radio or whatever.
Yeah, space trucking.
You know, space trucking. And you flick a couple of buttons, take a sip out of your mug of space coffee. Fuck, what a day. What a day you're having.
Same reason people love Euro Truck Sim.
Yeah, a little bit.
And speaking of games of that ilk, I played some Microsoft's Flight Simulator on the Xbox Series X.
Yeah.
This past week. And they did shockingly little work to that thing to make it a console game.
That doesn't surprise me at all, actually.
It's a user experience nightmare.
Okay.
With about 5 million menus that it took me an unnaturally long amount of time to figure out how to invert the stick.
Oh.
Because, get this, Flight Simulator has the camera controls normal, not inverted. This is a plane game where everything is supposed to be inverted. And the default is normal.
Huh.
What is that? Anyways, the game's a user experience nightmare, and trying to figure out how to actually set things up the way you want is awful. It's awful.
Okay.
But once you have a plane in the air, it runs remarkably well. It is buttery smooth, regardless of where you fly around. Controls real good, feels real nice. It's probably the preferred way to play it if you just want to kind of cruise around and see some stuff. You want to fly around New York City, you want to fly under the Golden Gate Bridge in a 747, this is the way to do it. So good on them there, but I hope they fix the user experience, because in some of those menus you can kind of toggle open to see more options, and it obscures menu items further down the list, and you can't scroll down far enough to get to those items unless you close the tabs that you've opened. Things like that. Unacceptable. How did this get through?
I think that they spent all their time and resources on making sure it ran like a fucking dream, like visually.
Fair.
And they were just like, because like that was my first comment when they advertised it, I think during E3, they're like, yo, Microsoft Flight Simulator is coming to the Xbox. I'm like, fucking how? was my first reaction. And then they did it, but apparently at the cost of usability, where it looks amazing, but fuck you for trying to control it or operate it in any fashion. This is a tech demo, not a game. What did you think we were doing here? Yeah.
Also, it has taken, exactly 9 months for me to have literally no patience for loading. And Flight Simulator, for whatever reason, on an Xbox Series X takes minutes on end to load.
Damn.
To load anything.
It's not meant for consoles. It's just not. They literally flew too close to the sun.
Yeah,
They
like that
just-
shit was
speed is there.
10
What are you
discs
doing?
on PC. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, it's still a gorgeous game, and I know they continue to add content to that. They're continuing to add cities that are fully built out and have a little bit more of an artist's touch to them. And I'm gonna keep it on my system until they bring out that Top Gun shit, because
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise
I'm
DLC?
flying that Tomcat around.
Yeah, as soon as I saw that trailer for the game, and they're like, "This is coming to consoles," like, sure, buddy, because like it looks photorealistic and buttery smooth, and you're like, I know you guys have a very powerful console, but it's gonna be like, sort of a square peg round hole kind of situation, try to make it run properly on that system, and the fact that they did suggest that they had to like, make some drastic decisions in the process.
You'd be able to complete a real flight in the time it takes to load. Paul, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
So does the Xbox have a setting like the PlayStation does where it can remember your preferred settings, like your inverted preference?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
And here's
No,
the
so
fucked
yeah,
up thing. The Xbox 360 had that option, and they got rid of it in the
Wow.
Xbox One. And now they don't have it in the Series X. And Sony looks like geniuses yet again
Yeah.
for having that option, and which works perfectly, by the way. I haven't found
I
a game
remember
that it
they're
doesn't
actually-
properly set inverted controls for me.
Okay.
Maybe they exist. I haven't seen one. But anyways, I hope they kind of gamify Flight Sim a little bit more so that video game people get into it, because it is a real technical masterpiece, and it's the finest recreation of the planet Earth probably that has been done. So
Yeah.
if you like
Google
the
Earth
planet,
wishes they could do that shit.
Yeah, thanks, Google.
hey man, this thing uses Bing
Sure.
Bang.
does.
Bing Maps.
So maybe it should have been on our top 10 games of the year last year.
No.
Technical
Bing?
masterpiece, not a good
Technical
game.
masterpiece.
Uh-uh.
There are a few things that frustrate me as much as Bing does. I think I have a virus because it pops up as my default browser way more often than I would like.
Tell me more. Tell me more about your hatred for Bing.
It's just the worst. It looks shitty. It is shitty.
Mhm.
I feel like when I search something in Bing, it's giving me the 50th results from Google, It's giving me the fucking leftovers that Google doesn't want to fucking show you. The scraps, so to speak.
So here's the thing. Bing is probably showing you what Google would have shown you before it had
No.
enough data to know you better than you know yourself. Because Google results are not pure search results. They are curated results designed to target you.
Okay, so if Google knows me better than I know myself, why would I not want Google making that decision? I need that in my life.
Okay.
Are you okay, Red? Stay with me for a second. With that last statement, are you chastising Bing and Microsoft for not data harvesting aggressively enough? Is that what I'm hearing from you?
That's right.
Okay,
That's exactly it. Yeah.
cool. All right,
I think
great.
I think both those motherfuckers need to update their terms of services, if you know what I mean.
No, but that's fine. Red, did you play any games in the last 2 weeks?
Okay, so I played, if you want to call it a game, and if you want to call playing it, I got Demon Souls on during the summer sale for the PS5.
Uh-huh.
And
I would definitely call that a game. Did you not play it?
I don't know if I would call it a game so much as I would call it Hell on Earth. And me playing it, I don't know if I would call it playing so much as I would call it flailing helplessly at the most basic of enemies that I've ever seen, and just fucking barely scraping by the opening level.
Sounds
like you were definitely playing Demon Souls.
Yeah.
Man, being taunted by these messages where it's like, okay, now the real Demon Souls begins. And, like, I can't remember the last time I've played something this difficult.
That's because it is the most difficult.
Yeah.
The original
you've
brutal
never
challenge.
played
I get it.
difficult,
It's the
Brett.
fucking,
That's it.
I get it. I get it. It's the fucking tagline. Yeah, it's tough.
Is that what it says on the summer sale? Demon Souls.
Yeah, the original brutal challenge.
It's tough.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Jesus Christ, it's a tough game. Beautiful, though. Holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
The destructible environments are crazy, too. I love how everything that breaks and every enemy that you kill is going to stay dead. It's going to stay broken. Nothing's going to disappear on you. I mean, granted, if you're not killing people with like magic spells and shit, if you're stabbing people to finish them off, that body's going to stay there as long as you play that level. And I love that. I love that shit. Really well made.
But you hate it.
I hate it. Oh, yeah. No, I fucking hate it.
Okay. Does that mean you're going to stop playing, or are you just going to pound your head against it until you get good?
It remains to be seen. There's so much to play. So little time. It remains to be seen. I had a good enough time with the phalanx. I feel like I've seen enough, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Personally, once I heard from reviewers and stuff that like, oh yeah, once you're killed by an enemy, your fucking health bar is cut in half until you complete a certain task. I was like, wow, hardest possible pass, thanks.
Yeah, I'm with that though, because you actually want to be playing with the half health bar. It's even so, it has an interesting like a world tendency mechanic, they call it, where if you're in these worlds and you're dying in it with like full health and you're like real form or whatever it is, if you're dying in the levels in that form, then your world tendency starts to shift towards black, which makes the game much more difficult. If you are dying in the worlds in the souls form with the half health, it doesn't affect things. So,
yeah, this sounds fucking awful.
So man, it's complicated. Yeah,
but it can only get harder, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it never gets easier.
No. Because if you're beating bosses and stuff in the fucking like life form, you are shifting your world tendency to white, which is making the game easier.
So if this is like how a capitalist society is set up. If you're already good at the game, things get easier for you, and if you have no skills, no education, no social advantages, things just get harder.
Most likely say that. Yeah, oh yeah. Absolutely.
Fuck this game.
Absolutely.
Yeah, holy cow.
And there's all kinds of special events that only open up depending on your tendency and fucking time of day and this and that, and it's just like, man.
Sounds awful.
It's time for this shit.
Okay.
It does.
Okay.
Right? Like, it does, doesn't it? I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I personally can't wait to hate every moment of playing Elden Ring. You know, because that's going to be the same thing. same nonsense, different world.
Yeah. Well, at least we can hate it together.
In unison. As one.
Yeah, it's cool. I'm not playing Elden Ring. Yeah, you guys can have fun in the George R.R. Martin version of Hell World. I will play something fun.
By that time, you'll be able to get Demon Souls for a real steal, James. You can just hack around over there.
Yeah. Probably just not do that. I don't know.
All right, I get it. James, did you play any video games?
You know what, Paul? I sure did. There, aside from Button City, the non-video game, I well, I played one whose scored embargo is the 9th, but I did release some gameplay footage for it yesterday, and that was Button City.
Okay.
And I'll be honest, guys, Button City, it's not a game that was on our like coveted list. Nobody was asking about it. Not even Jazz. Not even Jazz was asking about Button City.
Zing.
Deep cut.
But it was in the cozy, comfortable, the chill, the wholesome direct. It was in the wholesome direct. It showed up in there. They had a trailer, and it showed up in my email inbox. It was like, oh fuck yeah, I'm gonna play this. And you know what? It rules. So far, early impressions, not a scored review. Early impressions. My early impressions of the game is that it rules. You play a new kid moving to town, and you get caught up with this like gang of youths who spend all the time at this arcade. So most of the action takes place within an arcade game inside of this game. So like everything about the game revolves around them playing a game inside this game. The mechanics of which involve it's like an adorable low stakes version of like League of Legends without lanes. You're a team of 4 and you're fighting against another team of 4 and you're like capturing fruit from trees to chuck it into a giant blender to make smoothies. And then you have attacks that you can use to defeat the people on the opposite team. And you just have to balance between like taking people out and gathering fruit. And whoever can throw the most fruit in to make the smoothie wins the match. And there's like other arcade games that you can play within this arcade. Yeah, it's really fun.
It does.
It kind of reminds me of Animal Crossing. It's got a bit of that vibe.
Yeah.
Huh.
This one has an actual ending though. It's not like it's just gonna run forever.
Zing.
Are you?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
The rating is good so far. Gameplay is good so far. Graphics are cute so far. Everything so far is cool. Again, not a final impression.
Not a score.
But yeah, that one. Yeah, that one's gonna come out on the 10th, I think, and then my full review will be out on the 9th. There's a gameplay video up on our site right now. This is like the first time you go into the arcade, and you get introduced to this weird game within the game. Yeah, there's a lot of that like weird diving into other things within this thing. Yeah, it stands out from like, in my mind, from some of the other indie games who tried to pursue this particular path, in that the like controls are competent and the writing is snappy and everything moves pretty fast. So yeah, it's great. It's a great indie title so far.
This video I'm watching has some of the League of Legends-esque thing you were talking about, but also looks like a driving mini game that looked a lot like Ridge Racer, and there's kind of like Dance Dance Revolution.
Yeah, it's kind of like Ridge Racer or like Initial D. Yeah, so there's some Initial D, some DDR, and whatever the smoothie making game is. League of Legends seems like a weird comparison, like it's not really apt. But yeah, you're definitely choosing between offense and defense, and like there's abilities, and like there's a gacha element. You can like go to like the little machine in the corner and like pump points into it and like get these like little pods. And like, oh, I got another one, and this one's based off like mango, and this one's based off like strawberry, and this one's like a watermelon one. And it's just like, yeah, no, they're great.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
This is just on PC or where can people find this thing?
PS5, Xbox Series X, Nintendo Switch, PC.
All right. Button City. Get hitting those buttons in the city.
Yes.
I played something that kind of has a similar aesthetic to that because when I booted up my Xbox to download Flight Simulator, turns out I've also been slacking on my Game Pass downloads. And so I downloaded like 11 other things at the same time. One of those is The Tourist. Tourist with a Y instead of an I. And goddamn, is that little game fun.
Nice.
It's this little top-down sort of Minecraft-looking puzzle game with some kind of funny writing and interesting little scenarios, a little bit of action, a little bit of dungeon crawling, lots of puzzling, camera mini games, doing stuff for people on islands. Very cute. Looks great. Appears to have a lot of ray tracing going on, but also kind of looks like Minecraft. It's phenomenal. Only took me a few hours to complete, but yeah, great time. Would highly recommend The Tourist. And
I was telling you guys about that game months back. I had played it on the Switch, obviously without ray tracing.
Really? No ray tracing on the Switch. Interesting.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, you don't say.
You know, maybe on that OLED. Hey.
So is there a lot of like cool, goofy mini games in The Tourist?
Yes. There's a soccer mini game that you play. There's a pull-up mini game. There are arcade games where there's kind of an F-Zero game that's
sick.
Really friggin' fun. Yeah, there's surfing. Really good. Would definitely recommend. And
Sweet.
I'm sorry for not remembering that you already talked about it, Rhett. Oops, my bad.
Buried.
But I guarantee it's better if it plays smoothly. I'm guessing this didn't play super smoothly on the Switch.
It was actually pretty nice.
Yeah?
I think it was running at 60 frames. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Then you can get away with the Switch version.
Yeah. Sick.
Anyway, so in my Game Pass tour there, a couple other ones that I touched a little bit. One was Carto, which I don't know if this is new or if this is old, but it's an adventure top-down isometric sort of puzzle game where the hook mechanic is that you can restructure the map at any time. So you're finding pieces of the map all over the place, and at any time you can open up the map and completely redesign the world. And often the puzzles revolve around that, where someone will say, yeah, I saw this person, they were just east of the plains. And so you have to rearrange the map so that there's something happening east of the plains, and then that person appears over there. It's really cool, really cute, gorgeous watercolor art style. Really fun. Definitely going to keep playing it. Also on Game Pass. Ridiculous.
All right.
Hopefully the other 9 games that I downloaded are as good.
Readable.
Narita Boy is also on the list.
But also,
yeah, I do have one more that I actually played. I didn't just download, and that is The Ascent, which I know is new. And again, isometric, top-down RPG sort of thing this time, it's a twin stick looter shooter set in a cyberpunk dystopia, and is arguably a better cyberpunk dystopia than cyberpunk, because everything is better than that. It's very evil corporation, lots of intrigue though. A lot of the characters you run into have interesting stuff to say about the world, and it really pulled me in as something I wanted to know more about the lives of these characters and how things were going on in this world. It's really fun and would recommend. I think Mark reviewed it on the site. He gave it a mid-80s score. So sounds like it's a good long experience. Also on Game Pass. Ridiculous. What a freaking steal of a deal. Unbelievable.
Yep. Did you happen to snag your free copy of MLB 21?
I did do that as well. I played the training game and got through the 1,000 things you need to do to decide how you want to play the game. Batting modes, pitching modes, fielding modes, base running modes.
They give you a lot of ways to play. What I would highly recommend is using the new precision pitching method, where it's like you gotta do like a full circle with the right stick in time with this like ball kind of moving across the screen. I highly recommend you do it. It's new to this year's game, and it is by far the most accurate way to pitch and the most entertaining way to pitch. Like I never before have we really been able to, like, if you want to throw a slider low and away and mid pitch you want to make a little bit of an adjustment to it, you can. I highly recommend it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That sounds highly complicated.
It is. It seems like it at first, but I think you'll pick it up pretty quickly, and once you get it, off to the races.
I'd be lying if I said that I chose many things that were above the most basic version.
Oh, well, but, man, if it's been a long time since you've played these games as well.
Oh, yeah, it's been 8
years. Absolutely, you should. If you go with the hardest stuff at first, you'll just get turned off. Go with everything on beginner, and yeah, work your way up. They have, for pitching, hitting, everything, they've got dynamic difficulties where the game will scale as you progress.
Did turn that on, so yeah, I mean, I was exhausted after all the tutorialing, but I'll go back to it. Play some ball.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Who else played video games? James, you were planning to talk about Blightbound last time we were on the podcast.
Right. I guess I could, huh?
Oh. Oh, no.
I don't know, man. Here's the damning indictment of the game. I was just kind of bored. Like, it's fine. It has all the pieces, everything that you would hope for or want from a game like that. But like, it's like kind of boring. Like the pacing's kind of fucked up. Or like, you pretty quickly find out because you go through these like, okay, let me start over here. Blightbound, if you haven't played it or messed around with it yet, is a 2D kind of side-scrolling, like 2.5D sort of action RPG game that's like fully multiplayer. There's no single-player campaign. You just hop in and you go play with people, and then you do missions and whatnot. And the levels scale up with you to a certain extent, so that in theory you're not really supposed to be level grinding at all. But very quickly you realize that like the road to success is paved with like hundreds of runs through these stages.
Oh no.
And boy oh boy, could I see the whole of my gameplay experience with Blightbound, if I stuck with it stretching out in front of me, I had a really hard time playing enough of this game to do what I consider to be a reasonably objective review, which I talk about in the actual write-up. I'm like, listen, there's some caveats, some qualifiers to my words, and feel free to, disregard them based on this information. But like, I was, and this is important, too goddamn bored to finish the game, so to speak, which I personally think is a fool's errand because it's a multiplayer title and it's like not what you do. You're in it for the experience. Mm-hmm. With a multiplayer game like this, it's kind of supposed to be the moment-to-moment gameplay loop that keeps you hooked and propels you through the experience. There's a lot of like little weird deficiencies about Blightbound that I felt like they were hoping they could smooth over by introducing a multiplayer component. And in my experience, it just sort of like throws into sharp relief the existing problems. Another thing is that like the combat rules fall pretty neatly into that like rock, paper, scissors triangle of like DPS, tank, and healer. And if you know how to play within those roles, you don't have to pay a lot of attention when you're going through the stages, which is not a great sign for a game whose entire hook is supposed to be the fucking gameplay loop, because there is basically no story because it's entirely a multiplayer experience. Once again, I had a really hard time playing enough of this game to offer it some sort of concrete score. And you might be like, wow, how could he review this thing? He definitely didn't finish it. And I'm like, listen, the fact that I definitely didn't finish it is kind of a rock solid indictment against the overall quality. Kind of a rare, hard miss from the Devolver Digital crew.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds like the design process or the design doc for this game made a whole lot of sense on a whiteboard.
It did.
Yeah, like a lot of things that people like to do and that people are interested in, people have passion about in the gaming industry right now. However, without really nailing that gameplay loop. Yeah. And you said it, fool's errand.
Yeah, because like, it has all the things.
Yeah.
The setting is cool and bleak and makes you want to know more about it. There's a ton of different characters you can pick up. Everybody's got cool different moves and stuff like that. You can like craft gear and you can there's a lot of like leveling and stuff like that to do, but like they're just archetypes. If you've played one tank, you've played all the tanks, and it's the same with the other two classes. They have like different ranks because their skills are better or whatever, but like that's kind of it. You sort of need to play enough to point where you can get like the highest ranked characters, and then you don't need to touch another one ever if you've landed on like the mage healer class. The skills don't move really.
Oof.
That I can tell. They just sort of like, you get what you get when you get the character, and you just sort of have to like learn to work within that. It's a lot of puzzle solving, but also not a lot of puzzle solving. Like the puzzles are the puzzles. The biggest puzzle is like getting your teammates to stand on the switches to get the doors to open, or like figuring out where the fuck the game wants you to go for a mission. Sometimes you have to like retrieve a key to open up a locked door. That's kind of it. Yeah, man. It's really bored.
Yeah.
It's really bored.
Bored is, it's one thing if a game is bad, but I think as a developer, the one thing you do not want to hear is that people playing my game are bored.
Listen, you can't step into the fucking action RPG arena, especially with somebody like me who is like hopelessly fucking addicted to that style of game, and come with like a fucking half-baked casserole like this thing is, all right? You gotta come fast, come hard, come hot, or else I'm gonna be like, it's gonna bounce off me in like a couple hours.
Yeah. Severe bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other games we need to be talking about, or should we move on to the news?
I will say really quickly, I did a 30-minute demo for Sonic Colors Ultimate. Two things. Apparently, I missed a bunch of shit because I was reading an IGN review of the same gameplay experience where they were like, here's all this stuff that's coming in the new game. And I'm like, ha ha ha, I had 30 minutes of access and I definitely didn't do any of this. And then the second point is that it's like one of the best Sonic games in the franchise. And I'd never played it before. And I completely fucking see where they're coming from. The fans, they are absolutely right. This is one of the best games in the Sonic franchise. And everything they've done to improve it only elevates that status. The writing is snappy and fun, doesn't take itself too seriously. The graphics are nice. It feels like a new release for a Sonic game, you know, like the simple cartoon graphics, but they're like pretty slick and they do what they have to do. The action is pretty fast and precise. There's like powers and shit you can fuck around with. Apparently there's a whole customization section I never really touched on or talked about in my preview, but that's there. You can mess with his gloves and his, you know, his little wristlets and stuff like that and boots and things to like change that shit up. Yeah, no, it's just a really good 3D Sonic game, and it's like a better version of one of the best 3D Sonic games, and it's coming out this fall, so keep your eyes on that for that shit. Yeah, that's all.
I mean, in my mind, I've had not even heard of Sonic Colors.
Yeah.
So, to me, there's never been a good 3D Sonic game. They're all not very good. I've spent the last couple of years kind of like trying to get into those games because I'm one of those people who loves the character and like the world and like the culture surrounding Sonic. I love the passionate fandom and his presence within the zeitgeist, but some of the games are really, really bad. And I've been sort of like, and because Sega, and this is something I want to talk about for a second. I have a lot of respect for how much Sega loves their fucking catalog to the point where they will rep it and push it and sell it on every platform over and over again in different forms for like every 6 months. That's like, hey, you guys want to play every old Sonic game at like a 70% discount? We can fucking do that for you. Like as soon as the seasons turn or whatever, you got another chance to pick up like every 3D Sonic game for like the cost of a single new AAA release. And I have to say, I've explored a whole bunch of them because of this passionate push from the publisher. And some of them are pretty great. Like the first racing game that came out for like, I don't know what the console was, like Dreamcast or some shit, or like PS3 or whatever. But it rules. It rules. The first Sonic racing game rules. Sonic Forces is actually a lot more fun than I thought it was going to be, even though it takes itself way, way too seriously. It's like pretty fun. Generations is pretty fun. Colors is pretty fun. Like Sonic 06 is a fucking cyanide capsule, but like you can't really buy that anymore, and because they know that it's garbage. Sonic Boom is dog shit, and that's not available anywhere. Lost World is okay, and you can buy that on PC for like fucking price of a song, basically. Yeah, if a game is good, if a Sonic game is good, you can get it on deep discount on PC 4 times a year. It's really great. So I guess this is my hot take, is that none of the Sonic games are very good. 2D, for whatever reason, 2D Sonic, I understand it's about going fast, it's about the speed, etc., etc. That was the whole Genesis deal. I hate them.
Yeah.
And anytime I've tried to pick one up and play it, including Sonic Mania, which for like a good number of people was in the discussion for Game of the Year that it came out.
Yep.
And I fucking hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just so strange how that, how things land with different people. Like I totally respect and understand where you're coming from, that those games are probably great for you. It's interesting. It makes me want to try something like a Sonic Forces and see if that is something that I could get on board with or enjoy.
The newer 3D ones tend to be more accessible. The 2D Sonic games, they're more widely regarded as like untouchable classics, but they're really goddamn frustrating. Yeah. Whereas like the new 3D Sonic games, like Sonic Forces and the new Sonic Colors, there's no like live system. You don't like get a game over. You just like keep trying until you figure something out. And there's like checkpoints all the time, so you can like keep on at it. And like sometime, I think around like Sonic Adventure 2, they introduced this mechanic. It's like an air dash where you like leap up in the air and you like auto target a guy and you smash into him, and it turns regular enemies into platforms basically. And like that really changed the nature of the gameplay to the point where it was just something that was like mostly fun but sometimes frustrating, instead of like the 2D games where the fun frustrating balance was like a lot more uneven. Yeah, Sonic is one of those amazing franchises where when it's good it's great, but when it's bad it is fucking poisonous.
How do you feel about Sonic Spinball?
Really fun to fuck around with for like 20-30 minutes.
Okay.
Maybe twice in your entire life and then never touch again. It's still pinball. Like, listen, guys, stop making pinball games. Pinball games belong in poorly lit bars that have like $4 drinks. That's where pinball games belong. Nowhere else.
Okay, good. I wanted to find a commonality point where we could I could realign and understand where you're coming from, and understand your points a little bit better. And we found it. Sonic Spinball. Yeah, you're exactly right.
Also, 3D Sonic Blast is by and large somehow against all odds the worst Sonic game, and there's a lot of competition for the worst Sonic game. But like, it's not close. You play it and you're like, some people get physically ill when they play certain kinds of video games. My fiance, for example, if it's 3D in any sort, like if you're following a perspective, if it's like an over the shoulder or first person thing, she's immediately nauseous. Takes no time. I don't suffer from that same sort of thing. I can even play a lot of VR games without too much trouble. Sonic 3D Blast makes me fucking physically ill to play that game. Like it's a real bad time. It's gross. Like, it's really fucking gross.
Rhett, I feel like I cut you off a couple of times, and like you have some hot Sonic takes to contribute.
Yeah, give us your takes. Give us your takes, man.
I'm sorry, I don't remember what I was going to say.
My apologies.
No, that's all good. That's all good. Sonic. I do think that the new Sonic Colors game looks cool, though. Over the years, I've always thought that this game in particular, I've never really been a big fan of the franchise. Like Paul, just what you were saying. I wouldn't say like I hate it as much as you were making it sound like you hate it, but I've never really been a big fan. But in particular, this Colors game has always intrigued me. So yeah, I think this new one looks cool. I'm gonna check it out.
Nice. So with that, let's move on to the news, because, well, I feel like this could have been a news item in any number of podcasts in any number of years in the past several. But hey, Blizzard sucks.
Holy shit. Holy shit, do they ever. Okay, I've posited this question to a couple of people in the last few weeks. I'm gonna hand it off to you guys now. Do you think it counts as a boycott if you technically haven't spent any money on their games in like 3 years?
It depends on if that was a choice or not. Were you consciously choosing to not spend your money there, or did you just look
because
back?
I don't like anything they've made in the last several years.
Then I'd say that's a boycott. Yeah, I'd say that's a boycott.
Yeah, it's a pretty cheap shot because it's more like, wow, you guys kind of suck now on the games front, but apparently they also suck as human beings, which is exciting.
Man, some of the stories out there. Holy shit.
Wait. Let me ask you this, James. If in the past 3 years something did come out that was actually good, would you have purchased it, played it?
I don't know. It's a strange hypothetical because the last thing that Blizzard came out with that I liked was technically released in 2012, and they've just been making updates to it. And Activision can uniformly go fuck itself now until the end of time. Like, miss me with that COD shit. I know that our site, like, runs on the engine that is Call of Duty, and that, like, it's a big part of our readership and everything else, but, like, never has a game franchise been so huge and yet so completely outside of my strike zone. I just have no time for it.
I feel like
very
that one in
easy
particular,
decision to not spend money in those guys.
I think that's how it is for most people. Call of Duty, it's either hit or miss for every gamer.
It's true. I mean, I can think of periods in my life where I was definitely in that strike zone and into Call of Duty and wanting to play it on and off, from the Modern Warfare days to more recent games where there've been modes like Gunfight that are a good time. But by and large, it's a paint by numbers video game with, you know, here are some 4th of July blockbuster explosions and some Russian bad guys or Chinese bad guys. Take your pick. They want to nuke the Earth. God. We've got to stop them. You are Mad Dog. You codename Mad Dog, and you've got to stop them with your crack squad of ghillie suit mercenaries. You know, I probably wrote the next Call of Duty right there.
I literally couldn't figure out which one you were talking about, which is probably not a great sign.
Exactly. I was talking about all of them. This is a universal gameplay mechanic and story writing model. But
even when they've tried to change the series, Advanced Warfare, going back to World War II, whatever, it's just the same shit. It's always the same shit. I don't care what you say. It's always the same fucking game every time.
Mm-hmm. Got that right. Just the only real difference is which one of the 39 studios that now make Call of Duty made this one. And so does it now have zombies or not?
Yeah.
Like, that's it.
Yep.
But anyways, Blizzard, as you were saying, James, they have been very, very, very naughty.
Yeah. The cubicle crawls, the Cosby room, the
Cosby room.
The Cosby room. Yeah,
the fuck
that's
is that?
A story. I can't remember. They were like a BlizzCon 2013, and there's photos. There's photographic evidence. This shit is out there. There's no plausible deniability. There's a bunch of like really high level Blizzard people, a lot of whom have since quit or like left the fucking company, like either because of this or like before. But like there's like 5 or 6 really high level Blizzard guys in this room, and there's a big portrait of Bill poisoning your Jello Cosby hung up on the fucking wall, and there's like text threads and email exchanges where they're like, yeah, bring all the ladies over so we can do the sex to them. I'm softening the language because what they actually said was fucking horrible. And yeah, and apparently somebody who worked for the company killed themselves while working there because of how bad it was, which is not a good look for a company.
Jesus Christ. Okay. That is a big story. The first thing I would say to that is that's a huge accusation's a strong word, but I just want to see the facts on that. I want to see, you know, like it's easy to make a headline out of that. I want to see the investigation unfold. I want to see,
Rhett, I need you to understand, when I make these statements, this is from the deposition from the lawsuit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
because the entire state of California is in a lawsuit against Activision Blizzard because they got so many goddamn complaints from people that it was like, oh, this is kind of crossing the line from an HR issue to like a human rights thing. Maybe we take legal action. And there's all these like official statements from people and all these records and all these like transcripts and stuff where it's just like, oh yeah. And then this person, took their life after a long series of abuse. And like the amount of people who came forward online who are like, oh, hey, I was one of those people who can't really work in the games industry anymore, or who quit Blizzard because the culture was so toxic. And like, here's my story. And like, one of those was popping up like every hour and a half for like a week or so after the lawsuit dropped, or like the records went live.
Yeah. Fuck.
It's wild.
Jesus Christ.
Yes. Amazingly, even the tamer stuff from these stories that people have had, the behavior of HR people at events or recruiting events towards women with really solid credentials is bad enough that I can't repeat it. And the stories are out there so often and in such a number that it's staggering that they have managed to skate away from this issue for so long. It's mind-boggling.
Well, when you're a fucking billion-dollar company, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I guess you...
Don't get me wrong. I don't mean to make an excuse. I'm just saying, it's what it is, When you've got your fucking billions of dollars, I'm sure it's a lot easier to make things go away, and you can just continue to be a piece of shit.
Yeah, on the grand scale of things, it turns out that hush money is not often that much compared to how much you're raking in.
Yeah,
and that's
not even a drop in the bucket.
Yeah,
like not even a drop.
Anyways, I guess our editorializing
like, do you have anything more fun than that?
That fucking sucks. Don't be bad people to each other out there. Thank you. This has been our
especially people that, I mean, not especially, but like, man, like people that you work with too. Like, why would you go to work every day with somebody and be shitty to them? Like, give your fucking head a shake. Because if you're shitty to somebody, and let alone if you're fucking breaking the law, then Jesus Christ. But if you're just shitty to somebody and it doesn't end up the way you want it to end up, then who wins out of that situation? You know what I mean? Like, what are you gonna gain out of that? An awkward day at work? You know what I mean? Like, just don't be shitty to people. Don't be weird. It's not difficult. You don't have to be weird.
It's true. You don't have to be.
You don't you can be weird when you're alone after work.
I think the problem is that a lot of people seem not to understand that line between right and wrong.
Yeah. Is it they don't understand or they don't care? Because hearing this Blizzard story, these people didn't give a fuck. They did not give a fuck. They knew exactly what they were doing. They knew that they were fucking being scummy this entire time. And
turns out the positive reinforcement can paper over a crazy amount of atrocities and crimes. As long as you have enough people around you confirming that what you're doing is okay, then you can do some things that would make most people lose a lot of sleep. Maybe need some therapy. You know? Because if you look over to your friend, your comrade, your boss, and you exchange that look where it's like, this is cool, right? And they say, yeah, this is cool. You can keep on doing it. And so they do.
Yep.
But, maybe now we start putting a stop to that. Maybe now that we've brought things like crunch to the forefront, to where people are having conversations about it, maybe now we can start talking about how women in the games industry tend to have a pretty universally awful time. Hey, heads up, in case you were thinking that this doesn't happen everywhere, the guy who runs the studio that made Gone Home, I think, stepped down because there was all these allegations of him being a complete piece of shit. Yeah.
Really?
So,
I haven't heard that.
Yeah, Steve Gaynor, today, as we're recording this.
Holy shit.
There's an article that came out where it was like, yeah, I guess I'm stepping down because it turns out I'm a huge fucking asshole and I really shouldn't be running a company because I'm a, toxic fuck muffin. And it's just like, doesn't matter how big the studio is, you can have people with a little bit of power who just have to abuse it. It's so important to them that they abuse this power. So I guess what I'm saying is that women in the games industry across the board we need to level the fucking playing field. We need these people to have representation and access and protection and acknowledgement and understanding that we just definitely were not affording them up to this point based on the mountains of evidence.
I mean, I will say that I think that this is coming out now and that it is being deposed in a way that will have consequences for people is a good thing, at least as a deterrent for the future. I'm sure there are mountains and mountains of other stories and other things that will come to light and will come to the forefront. And I think it's important that as human beings, we make the conscious decision not to forget about it, not to glaze over it and pretend that everything is all right now that people have had their stories heard or people have been punished, because there are always more shitbags in the well. So keep your eyes peeled, and, it's like you always hear in European airports. You see something? Say something. Yeah. Don't shut your yap and be complicit.
Seriously, I love that. Don't forget. Just don't forget, because it's so easy when you're scrolling through your news feeds on your phone, just a swipe of your thumb and this headline is gone. And then you've got another 10 in front of you and it's out of the back of your mind. I think that, this isn't the first shitty story to come out of the gaming industry. I think it's pretty safe to say that for the past, I don't know, half decade, it's been a pretty steady stream of awful shit coming out of here and there, and just seems like there's every day there's new controversy.
And I mean, remember that it's okay to find it challenging, right? This is hard stuff to read about. It's hard stuff to hear about. It's hard to process as someone who loves the industry, loves games, etc. So give yourself a break. Don't put pressure on yourself to, have to be the champion or be the hero. The goal is not to be the hero. That's another problem. So enable others to help themselves and be an ally who assists when the chips are down or when someone needs help. Be available for other people.
That's all it takes. I know for myself many times, just knowing that I've had somebody that I could go to has gone so far. Yeah.
There's other news.
There is.
I don't know how we feel about going through it at this point.
Listen. We'll hit it real hard, real fast.
Let's do it.
First of all, somebody data mined the Halo Infinite technical something. Okay, full disclosure. A lot of the Halo Infinite news has been kind of like an arm's length or longer because I am not the Halo audience in any sense of the word. However, my understanding is that somebody data mined some version of the technical release for the multiplayer, the flight test, and found a soundbite of the Halo announcer saying the words Battle Royale. So take that as you will. Maybe that means that Halo's going to join the BR club and sell their souls to Satan for some delicious free-to-play multiplayer kill 'em all big map kind of bucks, you know?
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
of
kind of
course they are. Of course they are. The Halo Halo Infinite multiplayer component is going to be free to play, period. So why wouldn't they try to cash in on that, on some of those Warzone bucks?
Okay, but if they're gonna fucking do this, and the game is called Infinite, then they need to figure it out. They need to break ground. It needs to be 200 players, 300 players, you know? Big games, never before seen.
Infinite players?
Because infinite players. If you want to come in,
no limit.
Come on down. We got 1,000 people in here. Because we all know it's just fucking Halo. Between the pipes, it's just Halo.
That is exactly what all the previews have said, is that this is just Halo. This is Halo. Yep. Which is good. But
I think based on the fact that they pushed the release date back by a solid year, means we are probably not reinventing the wheel when it comes to the multiplayer. So all of our glittery pipe dreams of gigantic battle royale matches, probably just that. I think it would be cool but unreasonable to expect massive matches.
No, they're
totally for games.
Yeah, they're just going to jam 100 players into another remake of Zanzibar from Halo 2.
Yeah, sweet.
That's it.
Sweet.
I'm okay with that, though.
Can't wait. Definitely want to buy that Xbox for that.
Yeah, apparently there are a lot of files in that Halo technical preview that people have mined for all kinds of information, including all the spoilers from the campaign, all the twists and turns. They're all just written down there in nice black and white text.
Yeah.
So
you finally see Master Chief's face. Confirmed.
Seems like a tiny oversight to give people access to that and just assume that
Oops.
They wouldn't. Yeah. It was just like, no, here, it's probably one of the biggest Microsoft releases of the last 5 years. No, we don't expect you're going to do anything shady with this, but have at her.
Right, like, makes me think of Resident Evil. They were so particular with when their demos came out and how long they came out for. Made sure that they worked out long enough to be data mined.
Yeah, it basically vanished from your hard drive after 45 minutes. I'm like, yeah, that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
But like, how is it that they put this package together? You know, they finalized the file, and not a single person did a Control F and searched for whatever the flags are for campaign. Maybe it's campaign, maybe it's dialogue, maybe it's story, whatever flags you're using for this shit, and didn't check to make sure that was not in the file.
Yeah, no, they tricked them because they named them story. Story.
Oh, yeah, I didn't search for that one. Yeah,
everybody, exactly.
Got it. Makes sense.
Yeah, 2 or 3 rounds of Control F before you get to that. Got to press it several times with several different things in the text box.
Anyway, on the Halo Infinite front, it sounds like the multiplayer is good. People enjoy it. They like it. It runs well. It works good when the servers function. I mean, that is the goal.
Yeah, that's great and all, but who's playing? Is it Halo fans? or is it new players to the Halo franchise? Because of course fucking Halo fans are going to be loving it. It's Halo. I want to see how many new players this is bringing to the franchise.
Probably not many.
Well,
Not many.
Yeah.
Honestly. I mean, the problem they run into is that with Halo 4 and 5, 343 did not prove that they could make a Halo game. They proved they could make a reasonably competent first-person shooter with a Halo skin, but that didn't really play like a Halo game and didn't really have that magic that the Bungie games did.
Yeah, it was the Metal
What they
Gear
need to do
Survive of
with
Halo.
Infinite is prove that they can make a Halo game that feels as good as a Bungie game, which is pretty fucking hard to do, honestly. But maybe they're doing it. I haven't played it. I don't know.
I don't
So,
have an Xbox.
anyways, maybe it'll be delayed. Maybe it'll be
One
delayed
can hope.
like everything else.
Yeah.
Right, James?
That's
Are there any
right.
games coming out in 2021?
Yeah, but just later than you would expect. So, Monster Harvest is pushed back to the end of August. Keen of the
No.
Bridge of Spirits is pushed back to September.
Damn it.
Skatebird was pushed back to September.
Ugh.
New, whatever, the PlayStation one with Horizon Zero Dawn, Forbidden, whatever. The new one is to 2022. And like, basically, if you go to Google and you search game delay, you will find one for like every week for the last 2 months, because that's what games are now. Is we make a big sweeping promise about the original release date, and everybody's like, okay, sure, buddy, whatever you say. And then they come out with the actual release date. And then they do this dance 2 more times, and then we get the actual release date. And then there's a day 1 patch. So yeah,
Which is
that is
18
what game
gigabytes.
development is now. When you're in the AAA space, the indie space, it's just a race to the finish line, but like 30% of one leg has not rendered yet and will not until 20 feet after you cross the tape or whatever. So
Cyberpunk.
yeah,
Has that game even come out yet? Did
People-
they finish it yet?
people have put out
No.
articles that was like 7 months later, we played Cyberpunk. Let's see if it's worth it. I'm like, no, I'll save you a click. It's
No.
not, because they haven't, and they never will, restore any of the cut content that they couldn't include for the original release. They've been running around with pants on fire, just trying to like make the version they shipped run properly. And like, Cyberpunk is a worst case scenario, but this is emblematic of like the whole industry and how they run things now, where like it's a race to like make sure that you include everything that your rabid fans and the producers and the moneybags want, while still making sure that the thing that you publish on the PlayStation Store or the Steam page actually runs. And then when it inevitably doesn't, because QA is not an exact science and you're just going to miss shit, then they have to go back and frantically fix something else. It's just, this is just going to be the way of it, especially because this is the face of development during COVID, and sorry to be a downer, we're never getting rid of COVID. That's not going away. So this is what games development looks like going forward, is that just people being like tripping over their dicks and like trying as hard as they can to like make this loose assemblage of disparate parts squeeze together into a video game sometime within a week of the actual release date.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're looking forward to a game right now, tack on an additional 6 months to its current release date.
Yeah, 6 is healthy, because sometimes you'll be pleasantly surprised and you're like, shit, it was less than 6. That's cool. But
Yep.
nobody lands on a release date unless the only exception is when they announce the release date when the game is done. Like when they did Hyrule Warriors: The Age of Calamity, they're like, this is coming out in November. It's like, yeah, it's finished. So this is just the time they've decided to drop it. If there's any indication from the trailers or the talk from the developers, the publishers, like that it's not done, no, fuck that. Add 3 to 6 months onto the cooking time.
Easy. That's what's got me scared about Gran Turismo 7 right now. There is just no word whatsoever other than delayed to 2022.
Yeah.
They haven't shown anything like.
They said that in specific.
Yeah, confirmed delayed to 2022. And again, I've mentioned it a few times on the podcast. There has been no information on the game, no footage, other than it's going to be like the earlier games.
Oh, that's useful. That's cool. It's concrete. You can work with that.
So it'll have cars then. I guess.
Yeah, cars. It'll probably have some tracks.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
God,
is it going to have the high-speed ring?
Remains to be seen. I'd probably put money on it. It's probably a safe bet. Remains to be seen.
Okay.
Honestly, I'm okay with it. All the delays, it's fine. It's fine. I want to play a good game. I want to play a good Gran Turismo game. I don't want to play any Gran Turismo game. It's fine. I can play Forza this fall.
Yeah.
That's going to be good.
And honestly, with hindsight, like, if we could go back and delay the release of Cyberpunk, I would want that. I would want that. I felt like, especially with how poorly it did, it could have used another 2-3 years in the oven. Like James said, all that cut content needs to be in there. And it should have been in there. And with hindsight, man, I really wish that game, like, I wish that it got a better shake than it did, It was fucking the producers killed that game. It was heartbreaking to see the stories from the developers come out and be like, yeah, like, we knew that this shit was at minimum 18 months off.
I was thinking about that the other day because, like, remember when that first review embargo came up and all the reviews that came out were 9s and 10s.
PC?
I don't understand. This game does not play well. It continues to not play well. It is not good in any measurement.
I think PC reviewers who had like a really kicking system, they're like, oh no, this is dope. This is cool. No problems here. But like, that was like 12 people basically who had like the fucking RTX muscle to make it work. And like everybody else is like down in the fucking muck in the trenches with the rest of the peasants being like, why is it that I punch backwards out of city limits every time I try to break a window?
Like the PC version of Cyberpunk has a meta score of 86.
Yeah.
86.
Multiple
good.
Multiple 100s.
Not a man.
No.
Like,
wow. Windows Central,
Who's giving that
IGN Japan.
IGN Japan gave it 100?
Games Radar gave it 100.
I have to assume that they took a couple shekels in exchange for that hundreds. You know what I'm saying? Like, just a few shekels.
On no objective planet is the game anywhere near an 100.
No, on its best day when everything runs perfectly, and everything and the stars align.
7.5?
I was gonna say 72. Yeah.
Boy,
not 100. So, the last news item that we have written down for the day.
Please.
This is a fun one.
I was going to say, James, I gotta know.
Is a game, I believe it's called Retired Men's Nude Beach Volleyball, some combination of those words. Basically, and the trailer's amazing. You got to check this out. It's just like a like basic pixel art depictions of old men. No hanging dogs that I could see from the trailer, which probably
it's
for the best.
It's safe for work. You know?
Yeah, the art style kind of lends itself to that, where you're just like, listen, we understand that these are naked old men playing beach volleyball, but we don't need, all the nitties and the gritties.
Yeah, exactly. The balls aren't touching the sand or anything.
Yeah, the song they use for the trailer is amazing. And the gameplay looks pretty fun, actually. Like, pretty fun. And it's coming out pretty soon. So if somebody's like, man, I always wanted to play a beach volleyball game as a, like, retiree in the buff.
Wow.
Shit, this is right reality.
Okay, no, but James, he's not doing the song justice. Seriously, whoever wrote and recorded that song needs a raise. It is way better than this game has any right to have this song being, Like, it's catchy. I found myself wanting to watch the trailer again just to hear this song. It makes me want to play the game.
Yeah.
And like right at the end of the trailer, it kind of leaves you with this like kind of sad. You're like kind of like you're feeling this like melancholy at the end of it, where it's like, what's the line at the end? Is this how I'll die? Or
it's like, what a weird way to die.
What a weird way to die. Yeah. Just as
like,
the song and man, it's just like,
okay,
it's a good trailer.
Yeah.
Surprisingly good trailer. And I know retired men's nude beach volleyball. I know it sounds ridiculous.
Yeah. I also watched it twice. Heads up.
Apparently from the creator of Soda Drinker Pro.
Nice.
Soda Drinker Pro. Yep. Big fan of that game.
That's really something too.
For sure. Yeah. Obviously, retired men's nude beach volleyball, I think, is probably going to overtake Soda Pop Drinker as their,
I'd also like to point out that midway through this trailer that you see the referee refereeing the game, who's wearing a referee's shirt but no pants.
Right.
Nice.
Just to get in on the action a little bit.
Nice.
Cool. He's older too, right? Older gentleman?
Yeah. It's
They're
all older
retired
gentlemen.
dudes.
Every part of the equation is older gentlemen.
Special shout out to the line, having fun in the sand. I am a retired man.
Yeah. They make it work.
Well, I think that's about all we got time for here fellas. That's a great way to end.
Check the trailer. Be a decent human being. Play the video games.
Yeah, and watch out for each other out there. Things are weird. Things are strange. And we could all use somebody to watch our backs, so take care of yourselves, take care of each other. And look at cogconnected.com. That's where we write things.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that segue. Video games. Well, we write about stuff, We make videos. We write articles. James writes news. Rhett writes reviews. Rhett writes cosplay articles. We got it all.
Oh, yeah. Man, they're spicy, too.
Get over there. It's the spiciest. We're talking 1 million Scovilles.
Yeah.
So get over there and come back and listen to this podcast, because you love it. You're here. If you're listening to this, you're at the end of the podcast. You listen to all of that and you're still here. We know you'll be back. We know you're hooked. But we love you for it. So again, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. We will see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Getting hooked on that Cog Connected Press X to podcast. I fucking mainline mine.
This is life, here you are, back and forth. This is your